be another January 6th in 2025. Liz Cheney stressed the threat that may surface if Republicans are in the House majority following the 2024 election.
What happens if Mike Johnson's the speaker on the 6th of January 2025?
He can't be. You know, we're facing a situation with respect to the 2024 election where it's an existential crisis, and we have to ensure that we don't have a situation where an election that might be thrown into the House of Representatives is overseen by a Republican majority.
So you would prefer a Democratic majority?
I believe very strongly in those principles and ideals that have defined the Republican Party. But the Republican Party of today has made a choice, and they haven't chosen the Constitution. And so I do think it presents a threat if the Republicans are in the majority in January 2025.
A recent Emerson College 2024 generic congressional poll from last month shows that 44% of people planning to vote for the Republican candidate, while 43% plan to support the Democrat. That it's more of, I mean, Liz Cheney is just in the wrong party. I mean, she knows it. She acknowledges it there. She's a hero to Democrats, to liberals, to people who watch CNN and MSNBC, but she has no more constituency, which is why she is out of Congress.
But Robby, just for a second, yes, I would criticize liberals for embracing Liz Cheney. But the reason I criticize liberals for embracing Liz Cheney is because Liz Cheney is someone who voted along with Donald Trump and voted along with the core of the Republican Party for her entire time in Congress. The only departure that she has from the establishment Republican Party is thinking that what Donald Trump did around 1/6 was to try to overturn an election and was a miscarriage of justice. Something that many Republicans, frankly, said they cared about in the immediate wake of 1/6 and then rehabilitated themselves when they realized that Donald Trump wasn't going to go away. And it does seem to me to be a problem that you cannot be in the Republican Party. You cannot win an election in a Republican Party unless you swear fealty to one particular Republican candidate. Shouldn't it be the case that you can have a difference of opinion on something like that and still think that Cheney or anybody else, abstractly, hypothetically, did a good job leading their district?
I mean, ideally the Republican Party would not be so interested in talking about the 2020 election over and over again, particularly because it does them no favors with swing voters and independent voters. We've run the simulation a number of times now, and we know that leaning into that sort of thing actually sinks candidates in places that are in between. I mean, this is the Republican Party's problem, is that in order the gap between what the Republican base is willing to accept and what a general election will vote for is the widest it's ever been in the history of the Republican Party. What the primary voters demand, what the base of the party demands, is too far apart from what independents and moderates are willing to accept. Independents and moderates who would otherwise vote Republican are turned off by this kind of thing. That said, Liz Cheney didn't just, because you can express disagreement on this topic. You can't escalate it to the level she did. And now she's saying she doesn't even want, she would not want a Republican majority in the House. Well, then that would imperil all of the policy outcomes that you say she's voted, and you're right, that she's voted for all her life. But now it's like that is less important than your singular issue here of holding Donald Trump accountable and punishing any leader who deigns to bow to him at all. Sure. Then you're just a Democrat.
I hear that for sure, but that almost feels like it's like a self-reinforcing. It's like a cyclical problem where she's ousted from her own party, and so now, of course, she's going to curry favor with the Democratic Party. Like, what incentive does she have?
I would say she showed contempt for the Republican Party's actually voters and never tried to explain to them why this was not a tactically wise course of action to go down. It was contempt, and that's why she has no support in Republican media and no support among Republicans at all.
A Republican Party in which you basically cannot say that you think that Donald Trump stole the election or make a criticism of Donald Trump. We have a Republican primary right now where none of them are willing to say anything negative about Donald Trump, even though they're all sealing their fate, as not winning the election.
Well, he's going to be the nominee, so why burn that bridge?
Well, who knows what kind of counterfactual we might be dealing with if there were not just candidates, but many people within the Republican Party who are willing to reflect the fact that some people, many Republicans, as you point out, in these electoral contexts, are embarrassed by what happened.
I mean, Mitch McConnell spoke out against it and allowed anybody to speak out against it. He remains the Republican leader in the Senate. So you can do it with some tact. Liz Cheney just didn't. More Rising right after this.